policing the police every single day, and doing what the Charlotte County Sun newspaper and local TV stations won't do every single day.
So what's your name, where are you from, what brings you out tonight?
My name is Dustin Obermeyer. I was here on Saturday evening with Chris David. We were attacked. We decided that based on the requirements of the Constitution, the constitutional oath we all took, we needed to be out here to ensure, and we contacted other veterans to be out here to ensure that our citizens did not have their right to free speech and their right to protest and their right to assemble taken away from them by federal security forces here.
Okay, and so you were in the Marines?
Yes, I was.
And when did you serve?
I served in the Marines from 2001 to 2011.
Okay, I see there's a lot of wartime during that era. Were you deployed?
Yes, I was deployed 3 times.
And I mean, watching what has unfolded here, how are you feeling about, the direction of things, the direction of the federal government, and how the forces here are being deployed?
Our veterans are here specifically to support the rights of the protesters to protest. That's the only thing we're here for.
Great. Well, thanks for your time. So, can you tell me your name, where you're from, what brings you out?
Yeah, my name is Clint Hall. I'm from Milwaukee, Oregon. It's a suburb.
Yep.
I'm out here to support Black Lives Matter.
And so, I mean, why come to the front lines here in this wall?
Well, there's a whole lot of people out here that have been doing the work and raising awareness about what's going on in Portland. I haven't. So I owe it to them to be out here and let them protest and let them be safe while they protest.
Well, what has been your impressions or thoughts about the federal presence here?
It's wrong. I mean, things were getting better, and then they came here and made it worse. They kicked a hornet's nest, to use that analogy.
Yeah, for sure.
They're beating the tar out of moms, disabled vets, minorities. Enough's enough.
So tell me a little bit about your service.
I was an infantryman in the early days of the War on Terror. I did 6 months in Afghanistan and a little over a year in Iraq.
Okay, and are you disabled now?
Yeah, I got out on a medical leave.
So why are you guys out here?
Out here to support protesters.
Is it night 1 for you guys?
What's that?
Is it night 1 for you guys?
No, most of us have been out here multiple nights.
What do you think of the crowd size and seeing everything like this?
It's pretty impressive. There's a lot of annoyed people, that's for sure.
Hey, I noticed you guys have Hawaiian shirts under the flak jackets. What's the deal with that?
What's that?
What's the deal with the Hawaiian shirts?
Just like Antifa, I mean, they're recognizable by being all black. I mean, that's kind of our go-to thing. It just kind of happened. But we are libertarians, and we kind of want to have a way to distinguish ourselves from everybody else and to be able to tell everybody what we support. We're not racist. We're not against any of these people here. We don't support what happened to George Floyd. We're very against all that kind of stuff. In fact, we have our own people that have had similar things happen to them. Duncan Limb. I mean, never forget Duncan Limb. Never forget. And so, I mean, we're out here for a lot of the same reason that these people are out here for.
Okay, hey, I want to ask though, the shirts have been linked to like the Boogaloo Boys. Is that what you guys associate with?
Yeah. We don't support violence. I want to make that clear. We don't support violence.
We're not racist.
We're not racist. We don't support violence.
Okay.
We might be a part of the Boogaloo Boys, but
you see the Star of David on my helmet? I don't know what side it's on. I can't remember. But if this was a racist movement, this Jew wouldn't be part of it.
Okay.
Right.
these people about David McAtee.
That's why they police us the way they do.
No justice! No peace! Fight just my people!
Since we know how you really feel, it's how we feel. Fuck Donald Trump! 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 Moms, disabled vets. Our veterans are here specifically to support the rights of the protesters to protest. That's the only thing we're here for.
What have been your impressions or thoughts about the federal presence here?
It's strong. I mean, things were getting better, and then they came here and made it worse. Beating the tar out of moms, disabled vets, minorities. Enough's enough.
How come the Seattle police officers all get a copy? Get you more strong.
fucking sleep in my house. What are you telling me to do? You got a last motherfucker. You're on the wrong side of it, right?
I'd be disappointed! You are disappointing! Think about the kids! How can you defend a country that hates its people? Quit your day job! Work at McDonald's!
Clearly been vandalised, and the Department of Homeland Security, federal officers in military gear, clouds of tear gas, crowd control munitions, and locals who want those officers gone.
What are you guys protecting? Get the out of our city!
In just over a week, the chaotic scenes in Portland grabbed the nation's attention and raised questions about whether the US government is exceeding its authority and violating civil rights. The officers came because of an executive order signed by President Trump in late June to protect federal property from destruction.
If we didn't take a stand in Portland, we've arrested many of these leaders. If we didn't take that stand, right now you would have a problem like, they were going to lose Portland.
So what's going on here? And what methods are the officers using to protect federal sites? The protests against racism and police brutality, which started in May, had largely been peaceful and were held across Portland. But after federal officers arrived in the city on July 4th, demonstrations became centred around this US District Courthouse and this building housing federal agencies. Both are property of the US government. The buildings have clearly been vandalised, and the Department of Homeland Security has a mandate to protect them. That's usually done by officers from the Federal Protective Service. But on the ground in Portland, we have seen a new task force, including US Marshals, BORTAC, a unit of Customs and Border Protection, and a special response team from ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. According to a government memo leaked to The Times, these units are insufficiently trained to perform crowd control. But that hasn't stopped them from trying. Night after night, videos show these officers emerging from the two federal buildings as protesters draw near. Hundreds of videos reviewed by The Times show that, although protesters were antagonistic, officers often responded with disproportionate force.
And this guy, wow!
They blanketed streets with tear gas, They struck protesters with batons and used flashbangs, pepper balls, and other less lethal munitions to clear the streets. Their actions often appeared to escalate rather than de-escalate matters, and in some instances they attacked when there was no apparent threat. On July 11th, protester Donovan Labella was at the federal courthouse when an officer appears to have fired at his head in retaliation for tossing a spent tear gas canister. Labella's mother told local media he suffered skull fractures and needed surgery. Later that night, when field medics sought officers' help for a wounded protester, they were aggressively cleared away. On July 18th, a Navy veteran was batoned and pepper sprayed in another unprovoked attack. His right hand was broken and he needs surgery. Sometimes members of the press were hit.
He got shot in the back, obviously, and he's wearing press.
This photographer, Matthew Lewis Rowland, told The Times that a volley of 10 projectiles were fired into his back.
Ow! 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 God, what the...
In the middle of all this, protesters were detained in ways that alarmed civil rights advocates and former Homeland Security officials.
Can your people identify themselves as law enforcement?
On July 15th, several federal officers were filmed driving in unmarked vehicles in the blocks around the courthouse.
How are we supposed to know who you are? How are we supposed to know you're not kidnapping us and you're civilians kidnapping us?
One protester was detained at this location nearby.
What are you doing?
Federal officers wouldn't identify themselves.
Use your words.
But patches on the right and left sides of their uniforms match those used by members of BORTAC, the tactical unit from Customs and Border Protection. They drove the protester away in an unmarked car. DHS says federal officers have made 43 arrests since July 4th. Agents do have the authority to make arrests if they believe that a federal crime has been committed, like damaging federal property or attacking officers. In recent days, the controversy mobilised a larger and more diverse crowd of protesters. A so-called Wall of Moms led marches through Portland's streets into the federal courthouse, where officers cleared them away. The federal presence has also inflamed tensions. Some demonstrators damaged panelling on the courthouse and tried to set them alight. Others threw water bottles and fired fireworks toward the building. On Wednesday, July 22nd, Portland's mayor joined the protests and was caught in a cloud of tear gas.
This is an egregious overreaction on the part of the federal officers. This is not a de-escalation strategy. This is flat-out urban warfare.
At around the same time, a Customs and Border Protection plane was spotted circling overhead. CBP officials told The Times it was sending a live video feed of the crowd to law enforcement on the ground.
No justice!
Protesters and local officials say this is all a case of federal overreach. Oregon's Attorney General has sued the federal government to stop arresting people. The president has doubled down, promising to send more federal officers to cities governed by his political rivals.
Because we're not going to let New York and Chicago and Philadelphia, Detroit and Baltimore and all of these, Oakland is a mess. We're not going to let this happen in our country. All run by liberal Democrats.
The result could look like a national police force acting under presidential orders, able to ignore local demands and arrest residents. In Portland, it has been a recipe for chaos.
Looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. What democracy looks like. what democracy looks like.
Hey Sheriff County, this is Sheriff County Cop Watch. I am using any video here with under fair use. If you have criticism, reporting, teaching, etc., and please donate. I do not make money from YouTube, and there are different ways to donate in the video links. Thanks.